Stony Brook.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andre Jordan. I am a residence hall director in the Mendelssohn community, specifically in Irving Hall. So if you're living in Mindy, shout out to you. And I'm a member of the SIT committee as well.
All right, so for today's agenda, we're going to give you some COVID-19 information. It's important to note that this information may change before you come to campus due to, of course, all of you know, the rapidly changing environment with COVID-19, but we do have some general info for you. We have some benefits of living on campus, what our students kind of get by living on campus, the amenities our students receive within both their residence halls and their communities. We're going to have some information on housing selection and, of course, move-in information since that day is rapidly approaching for all of you. We're going to give you an overview of what our campus residences staff look like, and we're also going to give you some tips on how to get involved on campus.
All right, so we'll get started with a quick snapshot of our COVID-19 policies with the caveat that these things are always subject to change based on SUNY guidance and information from the CDC. But as of now, in order to move in, you must have a negative PCR or antigen test taken within 3 days of your arrival. They will be checking that at the check-in tent, so please make sure that you have that test with you. Students and your 2 guests are recommended to wear a mask during the move-in process. Unvaccinated students with approved either medical or religious exemptions are required to participate in PCR surveillance testing once a week during the fall semester. For the first 2 weeks of the semester, each resident is permitted to have 1 resident guest. We are not permitting any overnight guests in the residence halls at all, and non-resident guests are not permitted in the halls at all, and that includes commuter students, off-campus students, family members, or friends, with the one exception being during move-in. If you want more information about what the quarantine, vaccination, and testing policies and information is going to look like, you can follow that QR code at the bottom of the screen.
All right, so per New York State's mandate, if you're living on campus and you're enrolled in at least 1 in-person class, or if you're accessing any of our in-person facilities or services, you are required to have already obtained the COVID vaccine before you even arrive here to campus. You can obtain that vaccine info and then upload it to the Wolfie Health portal. And you can also, again, look at this QR code here for some more information. If you'll notice throughout this whole presentation, there are some handy dandy QR codes. If you'd like any more specific information on the slides that we're presenting, just hold your phone up, put your camera app out, and you should be good to go.
All right, so regarding move-in in the fall 2022 semester, you can find the tentative details of the process at the QR code there, which will lead you to some information about our general move-in website, as well as some arrival dates and things like that. For most first-year students, the move-in is going to be August 15th and 16th, and then transfer students will be moving in on August 18th. Around in the next couple of days, information should be finalized regarding how to sign up for a specific move-in timeframe and what that will all look like. So be on the lookout for your email. It is important that you comply with those arrival times. We want to make sure that the buildings aren't getting too crowded due to safety concerns. And we just want to make sure that everyone is adhering to the times that they are signing up for. Arrival times will be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. for new first-year students and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. for new transfers. And if you need an arrival request between 8 and 9 p.m. due to travel issues or something like that, just contact your area office and they will be able to help you out with that.
All right, so here are some upcoming emails that you really should be on the lookout for within your Stony Brook email. So quickly later on this week, you'll be receiving an email to select your check-in time for those dates Andre just mentioned. Around August 10th, you're going to get an email from an area office manager, and we'll talk about what AOMs are later on in the presentation, but that email will include information on how to check in to your building. On August 12th, if you're a first-year student, you'll be receiving an email from your RHD with a lot of really important information. And if you are going to be living in a continuing student building, you'll receive an email from your RHD on August 19th. And again, all of these will be going to your Stony Brook email address. I'd recommend just putting push notifications on, so when you have your email on your phone, it comes to you, you just see it on your home screen so you can't miss it at all.
All right, so if you are in need of transportation from the airport, you can submit a request via a link that the university will send out at a later date. Please select the day that you are requesting registration for the free shuttle. The shuttle will depart from JFK at 2 p.m. To ensure that you'll get here to campus during the housing check-in time period. You will be able to return to the form and edit it if you need to up until the deadline, which will be included in the information that they send out.
All right, so to check in, you'll need a lot of important information. The first is having a photo ID. So if you have a driver's license, if you don't have one of those, a high school ID can function, passport, anything that can let us know that you are you before check-in. You're then going to have to show your proof of a negative PCR antigen test that you've taken within the last 3 days. And you're also going to need your check-in pass. And you can have this check-in pass. It'll be on your housing portal. Later this month, you can kind of get it and print it out or have it on your phone. You're going to receive a room key and a student ID, which are two very important things because, of course, you have to be able to get into your room, you have to be able to eat. So you'll be receiving those from our staff members. We also have an online forum for events called Cork, and this is where all of our events, both for inside the halls and just even around campus, are organized. And you're also definitely going to have to attend an all-building meeting on Monday, August 15th. A time is going to be determined by your residence hall director, but you'll have your whole building together, whether it's in person or on Zoom. We're working out the specifics there, but you'll be getting lots of really important information on what it looks like to live in your specific building for the year. For parking, and this is just for move-in day, you should bring a second copy of your check-in pass to place on the dashboard of your car so that we know that you're moving in and you're not just someone who's on campus with a car. And cars will only be allowed to be outside of the building for 15 minutes for unloading, and then you can kind of move your car. The reason being is we are a very big university. A lot of students try to move in at the same time, and we just kind of ask you to be kind and just really think about other people. Unload everything while you can and move your car someplace else so you can clear up some space for some other students to move in.
All right, so now we're going to go into some of the benefits of living on campus. So studies have shown for decades that students that live on campus do have higher GPAs. This is due in large part to proximity to resources, right? You're very close to the library, to the other resources that we'll get into in a second that we have here in the residence halls. But there's also really cool enrichment opportunities. This past year, we did more than 3,000 programs between RA programming, hall council programs, and other things around campus. So there's lots to do. And then we have leadership and employment opportunities that we'll talk about briefly that can really help you to thrive here on campus.
All right, in addition to those, we also have residential tutoring centers. So the RTC services are provided by us here at Campus Residences and the tutoring center, and they offer lots of great tutoring opportunities for students who have specific questions in specific courses. So let's say you're in Chem 123, there'll be a specific way in which you can have some tutoring in Chem 123 on the exact content that you're learning. No appointments are necessary. We have drop-in hours, and there's even online tutoring available for students who don't even want to go to the center. They can just kind of stay in their rooms and get some tutoring as well.
All right, so now we're going to talk a bit about the community living and what you'll kind of see in the experience. So we do have some very cool opportunities within your first year called first year living communities. And so these are really designed to foster your success and growth through some really targeted engagement programs and connections with your peers. In corridor style, we have 3 undergraduate colleges. These are some tailored experiences that have themes. If you're living in the Roosevelt community, that theme is going to be creativity, technology, and innovation, or CTI. If you reside here in Mendelssohn, we are a part of the Social Justice, Equity, and Ethics undergraduate college. And then if you live in the H community, that focus is going to be on global health, wellness, and community. If you are an honor student that lives on campus, those people will get to live in Chavez, Tubman, or the Nobel halls, which includes the Yang and Lauterbur halls.
All right, so in addition to our first year living experience, we also have a second year living experience too. So this is kind of built off of our first year experience, and it's designed to foster more success and more growth of our students within their second year of college. Students, again, will have some chances to develop some more relationships with students that live near them, and there will be some more targeted programming and events that are specifically targeted towards second year students and kind of their place here on campus. Some examples of what these might look like are academic domains, so certain programs here on campus, certain career exploration groups, leadership and social justice, and also our wellness community as well.
All right, so there's going to be 3 different types of living that we've kind of alluded to already. In your corridor style, these are going to either be single or double rooms that'll have a community bathroom that you'll share with the other people on your hall or corridor. These spaces are going to have end hall lounges where you can go to study or hang out with friends. And they're going to be gendered by floor or wing, typically about 30 to 50 people living on each corridor. This style of living is predominantly for first year students. Once you are in kind of the upper class designation, you can move into suite style options. These are also going to be single or double rooms. They're going to be a shared bathroom and living room inside of the suite. The suites are also gendered, and that'll be about 4 to 6 residents in that suite. And then once you get to a certain number of credits in your upper class status, you can move into one of the apartment areas. These are also going to be single or double rooms. There's going to be a shared bathroom, living room, dining area that'll have like a large table that you can sit at with your roommates, and a full kitchen that you can cook. And there's going to be, again, about 4 to 6 residents per apartment. Again, these are gendered, like separated, but we do have gender inclusive housing options available. If you need that accommodation, please reach out to reside@stonybrook.edu.
Great. All right, so when you're living within different buildings here on campus, so every building will have recreation rooms and communal spaces where you can kind of get together with the people that live around you and kind of hang out outside of your own residential spaces. A lot of our buildings also have classrooms. You may even be having classes in your residence hall as well. Just like recreation rooms, there's also lounges, usually on every floor towards the end. In certain communities, they'll have little areas where you can kind of hang out with even just students from your floor. Wi-Fi is also included, and we're looking at some sort of entertainment package for you as well. So there'll be always some chance for entertainment to come through your TVs that you bring here on campus as well. Each building should also have a laundry room as well. And one of the best parts about coming here on campus is that laundry is free. Some colleges do charge for laundry, but laundry is free here at Stony Brook. And we even have an online program where you can just pull up the laundry room in your building and see which washers and dryers are open for you to use, how many minutes are left on each cycle. So you can kind of strategically plan out when you go do your laundry. So you're not bringing all your things into the laundry room and finding that everything is full. You can kind of do a really good job on planning that with our app called Laundry View.
All right, so to think about some more amenities that each of the communities are going to have, there are going to be computing centers in each of the areas. This is a place where you can go to use the computers there, or if you need to print or do a group project with some friends. There's going to be a resident parking lot in every area that you can park in if you're eligible to have a car. There's also going to be some sports courts of some type, whether that be volleyball, tennis, or those types of things for you to enjoy with your friends and colleagues. Each of the areas is going to be near or close by some form of a dining location. You are welcome to go to any of the ones on campus, but some of them are closer to the residence halls than others. Every area has one fitness center in one of the buildings. That's really a really nice gym that you can utilize if you don't want to go to the big one. And then most of the areas on campus do have elevators in them, with the exception of H and Mendelssohn communities that are built a little bit different than the rest of the areas.
All right, so you're all probably asking, where am I going to live? So first year students should expect to live in one of the buildings that are associated with those undergraduate colleges that Andre talked about earlier. Most of these will be in corridor style buildings. Those are long hallways where you have a roommate or two, and then you share a bathroom with about a hallway full of students. Students will be in either double or even triple occupancy rooms. We're going to talk about tripling in just a minute. And these corridor style buildings are a great way to build connection and community due to their layout within your first year with a really large population of students. For new transfers and for our continuing students, they will be predominantly living in suite styles. Students can still be in corridor style living, but most will be in suite style. Some students may also elect to live in West apartments, and these apartments provide full kitchens. However, students have to have 57 or more credits cleared on their transcript to apply to live at West apartments. In West apartments, they are mainly double occupancy rooms, except those in Chavez and Tubman, which are corridor style halls, which you also need to have 57 or more credits to live in. So if you're a continuing student, those may be some options for you, but if you are a first year student, you'll be looking at mainly corridor style buildings for your living options.
All right, one concept that is going to be pretty prevalent this year is temporary tripling. So at this time, we anticipate that about 20% of new first-year students and 35% of new transfer students will be in some form of an assignment that has a temporary triple. You can find information about what that means here on the website listed on the QR code. Basically, it's just a space where 3 people will be living until we can find space for the other accommodations to be made. Some of the helpful tips to making sure that you're successful in living in a triple would be really make sure that you organize your belongings and that you're aware of your space. Maintain open communication with your residents that you're living with. Set some ground rules at the beginning. You will meet with your RA to do roommate agreements and things like that we'll talk about a bit. But really just make sure that you're being very honest about what you expect and are comfortable with. Be aware and respect your roommate's needs and reach out to us if you have any questions or need any assistance. A big question that we get regarding temp tripling is, will I receive some sort of discount for living in a triple? And the answer is yes. You will receive approximately a 15% reduction of your cost while you're living in that triple room. You can see the website again that I mentioned for more details about how that credit will be earned and what that'll look like on your account.
All right, so how are you going to know if you're assigned to a temporary triple? So most residents select their own space in new student room selection through our housing process. On the shopping cart page within this process, you might see that a room is designated as a temporary triple in the room description. So there's a picture down here of exactly what that looks like. So see here in all caps, temporary triple in the A bedroom. You'll have an idea of if a room's triple or if it's not, just by looking at the shopping cart portion of our housing process.
All right, so on the first Monday of the fall semester, campus residences will host a meeting for everyone in the triples to talk about what the de-tripling process will look like. What will happen is there will be a wait list for de-tripling that will go live in the housing portal during that first week. And at that point, you'll be able to join the wait list and get off of that wait list once your name comes up. We do provide all the additional furniture that students will need in the triple process. So you'll have a bed, you'll have a dresser, you'll have a desk. If there are any additional needs that you have, you can request that or talk to your residence hall director about that once you are here. Most students will be offered a permanent space sometime within the fall semester, but some students may be tripled into the spring semester. It all just depends on space and our needs.
All right, so the housing portal, this is where students are going to see all their applications, their assignment info, and a lot of other really important information related to their housing, like rooms, room changes, wait lists, and end of semester plans. Based on the time of year that students look at our housing portal, different applications and processes will kind of be visible depending on what's most important at that time of the year. Students who currently miss their housing deposit or application deadlines can join a housing wait list starting next week, July 25th at 11 a.m. As of right now, we cannot predict if or when we'll even reach anyone on the housing wait list, but if you're still looking for housing, you can always try your hand at joining that wait list next week, July 25th at 11 a.m. And more information on this wait list is included right there on the QR code.
All right, so now we're going to talk about what's going to be inside your room and what you can and cannot bring. So in the corridor style option, you will receive a bed frame. Typically, it's going to be twin XL with a mattress, a dresser, nightstand. You'll get a computer desk with a chair and a closet or some item to put your clothing in. In the suite style options, you're going to get everything that I mentioned in the corridor style, plus some form of a couch or a love seat and a coffee table. And then in the apartment areas, you'll get all of those things mentioned in both the suite and corridor style, plus a dining table with 6 dining chairs. You'll get a refrigerator, a microwave, and an electric stove and oven. We do have virtual tours that'll show you like what the rooms actually look like if you're unable to make it to campus. So follow that QR code if you would like to see more about the rooms.
All right, so here are some suggestions of what to bring and what not to bring. Some things that we think you should bring are some XL twin bedding. Those sheets usually fit best on our mattresses here. Some flip-flops or shower shoes for our communal showers. Towels, pillows, toiletries, of course, clothes hangers, a shower caddy for bringing all of your toiletries from your room to your bathroom, since you can't just leave your shampoo or things like that in the showers. A hamper to put your laundry in and to go do laundry. Detergent, since although laundry is free, students still have to provide their own detergent. A fan, possibly. We do not allow air conditioners, but fans also work to kind of increase some airflow. Surge protectors are great for students to bring. What a surge protector is basically a power strip with an on and off switch. That's really important. Students can't bring extension cords or multi-plug adapters, but a surge protector with an on-off switch is more than allowed. You can bring those. Some things that students cannot bring, and that I see a lot during my work in student conduct here, are most electrical appliances. So this includes air fryers. This includes toaster ovens. Cooking appliances are available for students if they're in an apartment, just in their kitchen, or in communal kitchens for students in other buildings, usually located on the first floor or the basement of each hall. Light bulbs that are not CFL certified or LED lights are not allowed. Candles and incense or anything really with an open flame element are not allowed. We have a lot of students living in our halls, and if a fire spreads, a lot of students get in danger. So we're really strict about candle and incense use. Plug-in air fresheners like Glade plugins, those are also a really big fire hazard, and they can't be in the buildings as well. Pets other than fish are not allowed unless you have an emotional support animal. And if you do have an ESA, or if you're applying for an ESA, that ESA has to be approved before you even bring them to campus through a special process we have here with another office on campus. Foam or gel mattress toppers are not allowed because of how easily flammable they are. Non-authorized furniture is also a no-no in our buildings. And the reason why is that the furniture that we have in rooms really fills up the room, and any more would make it difficult for students to evacuate in case of an emergency. So don't bring any of your own furniture with you. And tobacco products, of course, vapes or hookahs are not allowed. Some things that we think that you might want to bring are, of course, a television, a small refrigerator, snacks. Everyone loves snacks. Ethernet cords are helpful for gaming devices. A streaming device is great. We have really good Wi-Fi on campus, and when students bring their own streaming devices, the connection is usually really, really great. So try and bring a streaming device so you can watch your favorite shows. Coffee makers with automatic shutoffs are more than okay. A great example of this are Keurigs. They have auto shutoffs, super easy to clean, super easy to maintain. And micro fridges are available, and you can rent them directly from FSA. I saw a question earlier about micro fridges, and if you open up your camera and scan that QR code, that will bring you right to the FSA micro fridge page, and you can get a good idea of what those look like. And just so that you all know, within the corridor style buildings, health and safety checks are conducted twice a semester. Hall directors will give you a general idea of when this happens, but basically what happens is a hall director and a resident assistant will actually come into your room to make sure that you don't have any prohibited items. So make sure that you do a good job on understanding what you can and you can't bring, just to avoid any issues with those checks as well.
All right. Here at Stony Brook, we are a tobacco-free campus. So that means that tobacco of all forms are prohibited from campus. This includes but is not limited to cigarettes, e-cigarettes, jewels, vapes, cigars, hookah smoked products, oral and smokeless tobacco, which includes like dip and chew. We do have resources available to you here on campus if you do have questions about tobacco or if you need help with tobacco cessation. You can follow that QR code for more information regarding that.
And just how we're tobacco free, we're also cannabis free. I know that federally it may not be illegal anymore, and from state to state it really differs. However, any school that receives funds from the federal government is bound to the Drug-Free Schools and Communities Act. And what that means is that the possession, cultivation, and sale of marijuana is prohibited on any SUNY campus, and as Stony Brook is SUNY, we do not allow it here on campus. Any possession will be subject to disciplinary action with our office, Residential Conduct and Community Standards, in line with our Code of Student Responsibility. And this covers all of campus and even our satellite campus here in Southampton as well. Students are not allowed to have marijuana. The Center for Prevention and Outreach, or we just call CPO, continually offers educational programs focused on cannabis and marijuana. So if you ever think you have an issue with those or you want to learn more about how to be responsible, you can, of course, visit their website. And we really encourage you to check out our Code of Student Responsibility with this QR code here. Every student that comes to campus is bound by the rules and regulations within this code. So all of your behavior must be within what's outlined. So we recommend that students read that before coming in its entirety.
All right, so each community or area is going to have many staff that are there to help and support you. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about these in a bit, but at the kind of head of each of the areas is an assistant director who supervises an area office manager and a few residence hall directors. The area office manager supervises students who are office assistants. And then the residence hall director supervises resident assistants. We'll talk a bit about what those positions are in a moment. Every area is also going to have a facilities manager who oversees any of the maintenance things that might happen in your area. So if you have a broken something in your room, or if you see something around the building that needs to be fixed, we'll talk a bit about how you can put that in, but that goes to the facilities manager. Each area also has a custodial supervisor who helps with keeping the buildings looking nice and clean and making sure that we're upkeeping the spaces that we all use. We'll talk a bit about what the cleaning schedule and stuff like that looks like as well. And then some of the areas will have assistant coordinators who are graduate students that work for our department and will help you with various tasks depending on what their job description is. So lots of people working here to make sure you're safe.
All right, so first we'll have our frontline staff. So these are your RAs and your RHDs. So RAs are undergraduate or graduate students that actually live within the building with you, sometimes even right next door on the same floor, and they serve as peer mentors. They can help if you have any issues, but are also really great resources for finding a way around campus the first couple of weeks you're here and giving you some tips on maybe where to study, some good places where to eat on campus. They're really there to help you transition into Stony Brook's community, and they're a great resource for that. RAs, like Andre just said, report to RHDs, residence hall directors. And residence hall directors are full-time professional staff members who live in the hall as well, and they supervise the RAs. The RHDs oversees the RAs, and the RHDs are really there to make sure that students succeed. An RA can refer more serious issues to the RHD if it requires some extra attention, and RHDs can also help with bigger concerns about your campus experience here at Stony Brook.
All right, so here in the area office or in the community, there are many things that we can help you with, specifically things related to lockouts, things related to maintenance, and if you have any general questions about living on campus or Stony Brook in general. Each area has a community office that during the academic year is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 p.m. And then resident assistants have an office that they will be in every single day from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Between 11 p.m. and when the area office opens at 8:30 the next morning, you can call the resident assistant on duty and they will be there whatever time you need. to answer your call and help you out with whatever you need help with.
All right, so our great facilities and custodial crews in each building in each community, we have full-time facilities and custodial staff dedicated to maintaining and enhancing your residential experiences, mainly by making sure everything's clean. So for suite and apartment bathrooms, they're cleaned weekly by these staff members. For corridor style bathrooms, they're cleaned daily. So a lot of incoming first-year students, you'll have your bathrooms cleaned daily, sometimes even more than once a day. Common areas like lounges, classrooms, and trash rooms are also cleaned daily just to make sure everyone's being clean. And door handles and high touch areas are cleaned multiple times per day. We kind of learned through the pandemic that it's always a good idea to keep those high touch areas as sanitized as possible. So our cleaning staff does a really great job in making sure that that's possible for our students and our communities.
All right, so now we're going to talk a bit about community engagement. That's one of the staples of our department as campus residences. So we really want to provide co-curricular experiences where you can connect with your peers, go to some really cool and engaging programs, have some good conversation, and really enhance that experience that you're getting in the classroom, outside of the classroom. This looks like going to floor programs, building-wide programs, area programs, but also campus programs, but also just coming to your resident assistant for help with anything that you might need. Some of the other ways that you can help us to meet our goal of being community engagement centered is to commit to helping us help you by actively coming to programs, take advantage of the opportunities and resources around campus, be open to the opportunity to learn and engage with new experiences. So if there's things that you haven't experienced before, don't be closed off to them. You never know what you could learn to enjoy. Understand the impact you have on your new community, whether that be in a positive way or a not so positive way. Respect yourself and your peers. And as always, please follow the terms of occupancy and our code of student responsibility.
All right, so here are a whole bunch of ways in which you can get involved here on campus. I'm not going to go through and read all of these to you, but we have all these great options for students to get involved on campus. In addition to these, we also have some really great sports teams. We love school spirit here. All of our athletic teams are in a brand new conference this year. They kind of moved up a rank. So we constantly have basketball on campus. We have football during the fall. We have baseball. There's lots of great sporting events for you to come show your Seawolf pride. If you're not interested in athletics, again, we have all these great clubs here for students to find really niche areas in which they'd like to get involved.
All right, another way that you can get involved is through joining the residential councils. These are hall councils or community councils where you can be a part of what builds your community into what it is. You can ask your residence hall director or hall council executive board where the meetings are going to be held this year once you get to campus, but it's a really cool opportunity for you to meet people who are in your community and develop some leadership skills while also keeping yourself up to date on what's happening around campus and what are the events that are going on. You'll be a part of planning and building some building-wide and area-wide programs, which could be really fun, also great for the resume. You'll get involved with other clubs and organizations around campus. We're a very collaborative environment here. And you'll be able to voice your ideas and plans for making your community a better place and really leaving your mark on your area once you depart.
All right, so we also have a shuttle returning that'll bring students to the nearby village of Port Jeff. Port Jeff is really great. It's basically a seaside town that's very similar to some New England towns, lots of great restaurants, shops, a place to get breakfast with your friends. It's a really great place to hang out. There's also a ferry that'll actually bring students to Connecticut if you're so inclined to go across Long Island Sound. This shuttle is going to run for free for students from Fridays from 3 to 11 p.m. and on Saturdays from noon to 8 p.m. Starting August 19th, just around move-in, ending a little bit earlier in the semester right before finals on December 3rd. That QR code is for our MAP, which is another office on campus that handles our transportation. They have some great information on that shuttle there as well. There's also tons of great things to do here on Long Island. We have some great beaches. We have a lot of great activities here on the island. And we're also really close to New York City as well. We actually have a Long Island Railroad station on campus that'll get you directly into New York if you want to go see a show, go to dinner, do whatever you want to do in New York. And we do have some other shuttles that go all around campus. One that even shops at Stop and Shop, which has a pharmacy, and some other shops nearby too. So when you're here on campus, you'll never be short of ways in which you can kind of get off campus and experience the local area and have some fun while you're here. All right, so welcome back to our returners to Stony Brook. And of course, we are here for some questions for you. Our moderators will still continue to answer some questions in the chat, but we'll also be answering them here live as well if we see one that we think we can answer well for you.
Pat, there's a question that will rely on your conduct experience to answer about Roomba vacuums being.
Okay, Roomba. So Roomba vacuums actually won't work on campus due to the Wi-Fi. I have actually tried myself to see if it'll work, and I promise you they don't. So even outside of student conduct, they just won't work on campus with the Wi-Fi.
There's a question about when do you find out about your room assignment? That person's name that will be your roommate and or email address will be available for you in the housing portal. If it is not there, if you go look today, then it should be coming in the very, very near future, especially as we're gearing up to send out information about move-in times.
Can you bring a small vacuum cleaner? Of course, you can bring a large one if you'd like to. We encourage students to keep their room spaces clean, and a vacuum is a really good way to do that. So of course you can bring a vacuum.
There's a question about how many showers are on each floor. So each hall is going to have, in the corridor style, is going to have a bathroom for that hallway. It'll be about 5 toilet stalls, about 6 to 8 sinks, and about 5 showers for the residents of that floor to use.
So there was a question about what time the dorm closes. So our residence halls actually don't close. They're 24/7 operations. Of course, students have to move out at the end of the year, but throughout the academic year, they're open 24/7 since all of our students live there.
There's a question about the lounges at the end of the halls. This really depends on the makeup of the building. There is some construction happening to some of the buildings that is converting some of those spaces into more residential spaces so that we can get more students off of the wait list and into beds. So we can't answer that for like every single building. Some of the buildings will still have in-hall lounges. Some of them will look a little bit different, but there is a big main lounge in every building that you can utilize, as well as some study lounges and spaces around the building as well.
I saw some questions about security. The first one was asking about a curfew. There is no curfew. When you're here at Stony Brook, you can kind of stay out as late as you want, and you can come back to your residence halls as they are open 24/7. To answer that second question about security, our campus here is really safe and really secure. We have an on-campus police department that's here to help keep students safe, but when you live on campus, you also have a 3-tiered safety net here as well through our on-call rotation. At any given point, there's usually a resident assistant on call. There's also usually a residence hall director on call, and there's even a senior staff person on call as well. So within just campus residences, you have 3 tiers of support, and of course you can get escalated through those tiers if you really need extra help. But campus here is super safe, and we have a lot of resources available for students for security and to make sure that you are safe here while you're on campus.
Yeah. There's a question. So at the beginning, we mentioned that for the first 2 weeks of the semester, no overnight guests are going to be allowed. That currently is still pending, right? So at the beginning of the semester, the senior administration of the university will really look at trends both nationally and locally, as well as campus, to really make determination on what that will look like after that. So it is likely that they may go to a model that overnight guests will be allowed, but depending on COVID-19 and other safety protocols, it may or may not be granted. So they'll send out information well before that about what that'll look like though for you.
I saw a question a lot about orientation week and if there are things to do that first week. And the answer is yes, there are a lot of things to do. We have a whole welcome week schedule that you should be seeing later on this summer. And the goal for that first week is to make sure that you're really, I guess, acquainted with everyone that you're living with and with a bunch of other people on campus. So that first week there is going to be more than enough for you to do to really feel a part of our community. So orientation week is a really big event for students.
Let's see. There's a question about, are we going to be put in touch with our roommates before moving in? So the point of putting their email address in the housing portal is so that you can take that initiative and reach out to them. So we won't say hi, Susie and Rebecca, meet your roommate. We do give you that information so that you can feel empowered to reach out to that individual and make those connections prior to moving in.
There's a question here saying, do suites need to buy toilet paper? And that answer is no. Our bathrooms are stocked with toilet paper by our cleaning and custodial staff.
You can apply to be an office assistant. I think it depends on each area office manager's preference. Some really want people to come in with at least a semester under their belt. Some really want to get people really early so they can help to mold them and whatever. So once you get here, head to the area office and ask your AOM what their expectations are, and they can give you more information about that.
Feel free to keep submitting questions. These are really great. We want to make sure that we have time for all of them and that you feel prepared and ready to go when you come to campus in the fall.
Move-in times. If you give me 1 second, I will actually pull up that slide again so you can reference. Just give me 1 second.
While Pat's looking for that slide, there's a question about, can a first-year student bring their car on campus? Typically, the answer is no, but you can go to the parking website and submit a petition for a car if you have off-campus employment or some other special circumstance that requires you to have a car. There's no guarantee that MAPS will approve that, but you can submit that petition at the parking website.
Sure. Those move-in dates and times are now shared. If you can all see that. They have the time zones at the bottom, and then we also have our dates right there at the top.
So the move out date will vary depending on what your final schedule look like. So at the end of the year in May, you typically have to leave within 24 hours after your last final. So if your last final is on May 6th, the expectation is that you are out by that time on May 7th that your last final was. So your move out date, there's not a set date. It really depends on what your final schedule looks like. But everyone in first year halls does have a cutoff when the building closes. That is determined by higher up housing staff as we get closer to that. So you'll find out information about that kind of cutoff at a later time.
We had a question about the parking website. It's actually right here, this QR code with maps underneath. If you pull out your phone and scan that QR code, you can get right there to the parking website. Yes, you are allowed to bring your own bikes, and we have lots of bike racks for students to hang their bikes up at. So if you are going to bring a bike, just be cognizant of the fact that it can't come into your residence hall. It has to stay on a rack outside, and that you should bring your own lock just to make sure that your bike is secured. Lexi, do you know which office a student can contact about the Seawolves Outdoor Adventure Program? Because I am not sure about that specific program set.
I am also not sure, but more than happy to find that contact information and answer that question.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I don't have an answer right off the bat.
There's a question that's been in here for a moment about how long guests can stay for. So according to the terms of occupancy, no individual may be an overnight guest for more than 3 nights in any 7-day period, or a maximum of 6 nights in a 30-day period. This, of course, is excluding the 2-week period that guests are not allowed. So once that is completely, once those 2 weeks are over, the university will give us information on whether or not we will move forward with the guest policy as written in the terms of occupancy, or if we'll be using some modified version of that, but that will be sent to you via email.
We have some questions on bikes. You do not have to pay to have bikes on campus. And there is unfortunately no space for you to store a bike indoors. It has to be locked up outside at all times. Reason being is bikes are very large, and if they're kept in hallways or even just in rooms, they create an opportunity for students to not be able to evacuate those rooms quickly in the event of an emergency. So we have to make sure that all bikes are kept outside.
Any other questions?
There we go.
Okay, Pat, go ahead.
Go for it, Andrew. I'm going to actually pull up the link if you want to talk about it.
So as mentioned, you can rent the micro fridge from FSA using the QR code that Pat will is showing you here under the desirable list. If you are bringing your own, you would just bring that and make sure that it's in compliance with the message that Victoria put in one of the earlier questions regarding those expectations. There's a question about, are there drawers underneath the beds? So it really depends. Here in first year halls, some of the halls do have drawers that are underneath the bed. Some of them have ones that are more tall, like 4 drawers in one, so that wouldn't fit under a bed. So what your specific makeup looks like will be dependent on that specific room. Even if you have it underneath the bed, you can move it around. We just ask that you put it back before you leave. But there's no way of guaranteeing that you'll have like underbed or something else, depending on which room you're in.
So oil diffusers are not allowed. If they're actually used in our halls, they set off the fire alarms and cause students to have to leave the whole building entirely. So diffusers are not allowed within our buildings here. A question is asking if you're allowed to move around furniture in your room. Of course, as long as it doesn't kind of impede egress and not allow you to leave your room in a timely manner. You can, of course, move some things around and make some more room for activities.
It's important, though, that you move it back to how you got it, because that can create problems when you leave regarding like billing and other things like that. Because O'Neill, yes, 99% of the rooms in O'Neill has carpeted floors. There are some, as many of you may or may not know, we did experience some flooding due to Hurricane Ida here in Mendelssohn, or really across campus, but some of the rooms in O'Neill have different flooring because of that, but most of the rooms is going to be carpeted. Yes, you are welcome to request to have, oh, sorry, Tristan's typing, but yes, you can request to have your bed raised through our Fix-It software. So if you just Google Stony Brook Fix-It, once you're here, you can ask to have the bed raised or lowered if you get here and it's too high.
So yes, you can definitely visit your friends at their hall if you don't live in their hall. But remember, those limitations for the first week say that students can only have 1 guest over that's residential. So you can more than happily go over to your friend's residence hall if you're residing on campus, even during those first 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, I haven't seen any more questions come through, and I want to be respectful of our time. So thank you so much, Andre, Patrick, and the rest of our campus residences team for helping us out today and presenting on such an important topic. To answer a few questions, this recording will be live on our YouTube page, which is New Student Programs, SBU, so you can find that recording there. But again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Can't wait to see you in the fall.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.